Hi guys and welcome back to the Finanza portal. Today we are gonna talk about chips and semiconductors and more specifically about the global fight over chips. Chips are fundamental today in every economy as sanctions are going on due to the war between Russia and Ukraine. Russia itself is going to experience a shortage of chips in the country and it is already experiencing it. Chips are largely used in any electric product nowadays, almost every product. So the challenge to control this specific market is becoming pivotal both from an economic and a political point of view. On the other side, today China is not leading yet this sector for these specific components, but also Europe and the US are trying to reach competition due to the strategic importance of the chip market and because the Chinese are planning to invest a lot of money in the sector itself to become leaders. Just to give you an example about the US and European Union investment activity, Intel, so very important company and pretty famous one, has plans to build a huge factory in Germany. The company itself is in rebuild mode to become once back the number one, the leader of this sector. So this new factory is joining other two plants in Arizona and Ohio in the US. So during the last years, there has been an intrinsic global chip shortage due to several reasons, and now we are going to try to explain them. So, reason number one, higher and increasing demand. So, these components, these products are very important for almost every electrical product and component. So, as these kind of products are becoming to increase in quantities, so the demand for chips and semiconductors it's increasing. On the other side, and that's reason number two about the global chip shortage during these years, is that the global supply chain has been disrupted due to the COVID pandemic. And then there is reason number three, and it's all about the war between Russia versus Ukraine. So these are the three main reasons for having such a global chip shortage. For these reasons, the US and European unions have great plans to reduce reliance on imports through billions of subsidies and billions of investments. On the other side, we have China, which is willing to be number one in the sector. China wants to be the leader in this sector and becoming a chip powerhouse as well. So in here we have almost everything like big investments, technology, geopolitics, and also like possible tensions between countries to reach the leadership position in this sector. So here are some questions for you just to have some reasoning about this specific theme. So first question, will these investments have real returns for Western countries in the future? And in the future here we are meaning medium and long term, or these investments are going to be a total waste of money? So there will be any return on investment about chips and semiconductors? Well, first of all, we have to analyze that the US and the European Union are lagging behind their competitors. So, may it be too late to enter the market? It's not easy, of course, to enter the market if you're not the first one to enter it. So, maybe, well, these investments have not a certain outcome, a certain return. And this is pretty scary for the US and the European Union, of course. So are these investments, and here we are speaking about 100 billions for both the US and the European Union combined for investing in this specific sector. And will it be too little? So $100 billion are enough? Well, it's not like a big investment, especially if compared with other countries, which are also smaller than compare the US and the European Union. So, well, after all, 100 billions versus such a big competition, and competition will be so great in this sector with geopolitics implied and involved as well. Well, in my opinion, it's not a huge money if we consider all these aspects. Then, in fact, this sector is more about securing the raw materials rather than building new manufacturing plants like the one in Germany. So new manufacturing plants, in my opinion, are useless without all the necessary materials to produce these particular products. Then, well, let's try to look at chips and more specifically, where do you use them? Where do you use these components? Well, autos, for example, gaming, so consoles, video games, so very different sectors. And let's not forget about computers. So all these things need semiconductors. They are in our everyday life, and it's pretty impossible to think nowadays to go on without semiconductors, without autos, without computers. It's really a huge share of our economy and GDP. So let's not forget about that. And we need semiconductors in order for these products to function properly. So this theme is very important. Now, so we have seen the different uses of these products. Now let's see at market leaders today. Well, today we have two small countries in pole position, so leaders. And well, one is pretty famous. The other one, in my opinion, is less known, is less mainstream at least. Well, the first country really mainstream, and the country which is in pole position for semiconductors production and the overall sector is Taiwan. Well, Taiwan has a very big problem. It is in a very hot spot geopolitically. So, being in such a dangerous geopolitical spot, alternatives have to be found for the US and the European Union. Well, another theme, in my opinion, is the overall supply chain functioning properly, except for some shortages. Well, I've seen many opinions from very different market experts, and they are telling people that nowadays the chip industry, of course, is one of the most globalized. So this is very important, and it has worked pretty well in the past. So some shortages, that's true, but on the other side, the supply chain is very good for these products and it's really globalized. So let's not forget about that. So for this reason, is there any real need to localize the supply chain? Is there any reason to bear more risk, having more risk about more geopolitical risk, tensions and possible war in the future just to nationalize this industry? Maybe isn't it better to continue with a globalized supply chain? So nationalizing this business could be detrimental for everyone. This is a very important thing. When you have duties, when you have subsidies, well, duties and are not very good for the overall economy. So when you have these things in action, when countries decide to tax each other, it's bad for everyone. Let's not forget about that. On the other side, seeing that the exclusion from this industry could be used as a geopolitical tool, it's a weapon. It could be a weapon. There could be some reasons to nationalize key sectors. And it's not all about semiconductors, but also about other very important industries. But not being able to access some products could be used against you as a geopolitical tool. So the West here just simply wants its role back. In fact, if we look at the 90s, chips and semiconductors accounted for 60% of the world production in the US and Europe. Now they merely have a 25%. And this is a very strong reduction in the market share about these products. At 25%, it's too little for such a strategic sector. So nowadays, market leaders are Taiwan and Korea. Korea is the other important country about chip production. They have invested really a lot. And let's not forget that Taiwan and South Korea are historically Western allies. But what could happen if China or other countries which are not so linked with the US and Europe can become market leaders, can become the number one producer of semiconductors and chips? Well, this is a very tough question. What could happen? So tell me in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video. We are going to talk about semiconductors and chips more in the future. Just let me know if you like the video, subscribe. Well, give the video a like. Thank you very much and see you for another video. Bye.